is going on, y'all? It is the Caveman back at it again with another video. I can't believe we only have 2 weeks of football remaining, or 2 actual weeks, and only 3 games left. This weekend we have the conference championships and then the Super Bowl, and then it's over. Just like I did for the wild card and for the divisional, I am here to deliver you my predictions for the 2 games in the conference championships. I have not been doing well with predictions all year, to be honest with you, and the playoffs have not treated me well either. I quite often fell into the trap this season of, okay, yeah, maybe that team could win because the NFL is wacky and anything can happen, but in all reality, that team that I ended up choosing really didn't have a chance in the first place, and I've taken so many losses because of it. This weekend, there's only 2 games, which could be a good thing because there's not much to get wrong, but on the other hand, there's also a small margin for error. I very easily can go 0-2 here. I have not been running hot at all. One quick thing, I want to give a quick shout out to my partner, Thrive Fantasy. If you enjoy sports betting, specifically on player props, go check them out. Down in the description is my link to sign up. You can use my code CAVE, C-A-V-E. You'll get a 100% deposit match. You'll get the opportunity to take this free leg for Patrick Mahomes over half a passing yard. It's about as free as it actually gets. Also do all sorts of different props for things like the NBA, the NHL. I think they do them for like UFC, all sorts of sports, and they also do weekly contests. I highly recommend you go check out Thrive Fantasy. Like I said, use my code CAVE. The link to sign up is down in the description, and thank you to them, and thank you to you guys. Let's get right into it. All right, let's knock this out real quick. Starting at 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday afternoon, we have the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the San Francisco 49ers for the NFC Championship. So Thursday night, which is when I'm recording this, the 49ers are 2.5-point underdogs. This is subject to change, but in all reality, this game is about as close to a toss-up as it's going to get. Both of these teams have easily been the best 2 in the conference down the stretch. The final 5 to 6 weeks of the season, there was no question about who the top dogs were. For the 49ers last week, they did take down the Cowboys 19-12 in the divisional round. I don't think any unit aside from the 49ers defense played well in that game whatsoever. Now, what I'm about to say is going to upset a lot of 49ers fans, and specifically Brock Purdy lovers. He's not been playing anything better than average football. Let's be honest here, folks. You can call me a hater all you want. I embrace that lifestyle. I wake up 4.5 hours before my 9 to 5 to do ample hating on this single human being. Not because I don't like him, but because the narratives that's blown up about this kid have been way overblown. But in all seriousness, this dude is one of the luckiest starting quarterbacks I have seen in recent memory. Every time he puts the ball in harm's way, it just drops out of the defender's hands and it hits the ground without fail every time. I think Brock threw 2 to 3 very interceptable passes against the Cowboys, and they dropped every single one of them that really would have been game-changing in such a tight matchup. That's been really the untold story of Brock Purdy's legacy so far. He's been great. Like I said, I'm rooting for the kid. I think it's an awesome story. My God, and I'm not even talking about last week. There have been games in the past that could have been seriously altered if the defenders could just simply catch the ball when he throws it to them. I don't understand what the stigma is. Yeah, staying on track here, Christian McCaffrey in the run game was pretty much bottled up by Dallas, and Purdy was forced to drop back and pass, and he did not look too hot. Of course, statistically, they are one of the prettiest, or purtiest,
this guy stinks!
teams in the NFL. They rank 1st in the NFL offensively in EPA per play since week 14, as well as 3rd in defensive EPA per play since week 14. Just like I've done for every team in the postseason so far, I will take an X factor, and I would say Brock Purdy like I did last week, but it's become very evident that no matter what happens with how he plays, they're probably still going to find a way to win anyway. So my X factor for this game for the 49ers, and he was an X factor last week for them, is going to be Fred Warner. This dude is proven to be the best off-ball linebacker in the NFL. He plays so well up at the line of scrimmage. He could drop back in coverage like a defensive back. Assuming Fred can have a similar impact in this game as he did last, then I think the Eagles offense is going to have a very difficult time, so he's going to be my X factor here. Let's flip the field real quick and talk about their opponent. The Philadelphia Eagles took down the New York Giants in the divisional round last week, 38-7. I thought that game was going to be a lot closer than it was, and I guess I'm just simply a fool. It came down to 2 massive things. The Giants did not play nearly as well as they've been playing, and they simply were outmatched in terms of talent in comparison to the team that they were playing against in the Philadelphia Eagles, being one of, if not the most well-rounded team in football. You could argue that the Eagles really weren't tested last week and they might not be ready for the 49ers, but I do think they weren't tested because they were so prepared for what the New York Giants could bring to the table. New York has been playing above expectations each and every week. So as one person might see the New York Giants losing like that as an indictment on New York, I think it just kind of spoke to the preparation that the Giants probably put in for that matchup and just how good they actually are. And with the 49ers, their statistics speak for themselves as well. They're Their offensive EPA per play since week 14 ranks 6th in the NFL. Their defensive ranks 9th. The X factor for Philadelphia is going to be a unit, and it's going to be their secondary. You remember that rant I just went on regarding how defensive backs and defenses in general drop a bunch of Brock Purdy interceptions? Well, it's going to be the Eagles' job to catch those footballs that come their way because he makes mistakes week after week after week, and I think this secondary is finally going to be the defense that makes him pay for these mistakes. That being said, I have Philadelphia coming out on top in this game by a score of 27-16. Score predictions are a crapshoot, so that's probably going to be way off, but hopefully I can at least get the winner right. The groundwork to my conclusion here has pretty much been laid out. I think what happens in this game is pretty simple. CMC gets stymied on the ground by the Eagles front, just like they stymied Saquon last week. It's going to force Brock Purdy to drop back, and no matter how good the offensive line is for the 49ers, that Eagles front is disgustingly mean, and they are going to get pressure on that kid. This is going to be the most pressure that he's experienced in his short starting stint, and this is also going to be the most pressure he's probably ever had in his life because this is the biggest stage he's ever played on in his life. I think that pressure leads to some game-altering turnovers by Brock Purdy, and the Eagles are able to capitalize. I think on offense, the Eagles are going to kind of figure it out. They'll get stopped here and there, but they'll be able to pass through the air. I think A.J. Brown has a big day. That big physical wide receiver stature is going to be able to bully the defensive backs on the outside, just like DK Metcalf did a couple weeks ago. All these things are going to come together, and we will have a Philadelphia victory in the NFC Championship to send them off to the Super Bowl over the San Francisco 49ers. For game number 2, the AFC Championship, we have the Chiefs hosting the Bengals in Burrowhead, as Bengals fans have been calling it. The Chiefs are currently 1-point favorites as we speak. That is subject to change. Just like the NFC Championship, this one's a toss-up. Now, I wouldn't say both of these teams were necessarily the foreseen two best in the AFC, but they are the two best now, obviously. Last week, we saw the Cincinnati Bengals take down the Buffalo Bills 27-10 in the divisional round. I don't want to talk about it. You can call me biased if you want, but in my opinion, the Bengals win was impressive, but at the end of the day, I think it said a lot more about Buffalo than it did about the Bengals. The Bengals played a great game, but that is what you expect from a team in the divisional round that actually deserves to be there. They're going to play a great game. The Bills just did not, and it made their game look that much better. Cincinnati took advantage of whatever the hell the Bills trotted out and did that week, and it resulted in that victory, and congrats to them for that. I'm not bitter at all. But anyway, staying on track here, since week 14, the Cincinnati Bengals have ranked 10th in the NFL in offensive EPA per play, which might be a little bit lower than you would expect with all those weapons. If you've been watching Bengals football to any capacity, you would know that their defense has been doing a darn good job. They rank second in the NFL in EPA per play since week 14. Pretty phenomenal on their part. My X factor for Cincinnati is going to be DJ Reader on the defensive line. This dude on the interior has been causing all sorts of havoc for anybody getting in his way. One hell of a run defender, and this dude can get to the quarterback. He's the ultimate package on the inside, and this is the kind of guy that can really single-handedly ruin a football game for an opposing offense. Considering Mahomes' ankle injury, if DJ Reader gets going and he's not contained, he'll be a real problem for Kansas City. Guess we'll find out if he's a game wrecker, but until then, we have to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs on the other hand here. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-20 in the divisional round. In my opinion, I thought the Jacksonville Jaguars, considering the game script that was presented to them, should have won this game. They didn't take advantage and ultimately lost. At the same time, I think the Chiefs probably win this game by at least 2 possessions if Patrick Mahomes' ankle doesn't get rolled up. If I were a Chiefs fan, I would probably be slightly nervous about our defense. I'm not going to lie. They looked leaky against that Jacksonville Jaguars offense. There were multiple big plays that the Jacksonville Jaguars single-handedly blew themselves offensively. Between the Christian Kirk drop deep bomb and then that huge fumble by Jamal Agnew, I mean, those are huge plays that could have altered the course of this game. But anyway, statistically, the Chiefs offense ranks 3rd in the NFL in EPA per play. Defense, they rank 7th in the NFL in EPA. It sucks that Mahomes is going to have to play this game on essentially like one actual good foot because it's going to affect his mobility. It's going to affect his throw power. It's going to change the game a lot for Kansas City. And that's why my Kansas City X factor is not going to be Mahomes. It's not going to be the offensive line. It's going to be Isaiah Pacheco. If there was a cartoon comp for Isaiah Pacheco, he would be the Tasmanian Devil. This dude runs like he is so pissed off. He stomps the ground like he's trying to create a 7.0 earthquake on the Richter scale. But hey, he runs hard, and even though the Jacksonville Jaguars run defense has been tough, he actually played a humongous part in that victory for the Kansas City Chiefs on that 99-yard drive when Chad Henne had to step in. He had about, 50 of those yards? I do think the Tasmanian Devils' impact is going to be large enough to kind of push Kansas City over the hump into the Super Bowl. I have the Chiefs winning this game by a score of 34-30. I was having a real hard time determining if I thought this game was going to be higher scoring or not. I still am not too confident in my score prediction. I hate score predictions. I wouldn't be shocked if it was a lower scoring game, if I'm being honest with you. But anyway, I do think the Kansas City Chiefs offensively are going going to have to change their identity a little bit, especially with this Mahomes injury. Not only because Mahomes' ankle is going to affect how well they're able to pass the ball effectively through the air, but I also think they need to keep the Bengals offense off the field as much as they possibly can. They need long, sustained drives, because if that Bengals offense is out there against that Chiefs defense, it's going to get ugly if they're out there for a little bit too long. Like I said, they looked leaky against that Jaguars offense. I don't suspect them to be that much better against this Bengals offense either. Of course, Mahomes is going to make the throws that he has to make, but if Isaiah Pacheco and that run game is not an actual factor in this matchup, then Mahomes is going to have probably one of the most magical games we've ever seen him play. Not to mention, I know this is about to go against every gambling convention, and this is not a way to actually predict games, but the Bengals are 3-0 against the Chiefs in their last 3 matchups. Just based on the law of variance, if you were to walk up to a roulette table and the thing landed on black 3 straight times, it's got to land on red eventually, right? Like, it just has to. Just can't imagine they let the Bengals get away with another one, and then we're going to have to hear about how Arrowhead is now called Burrowhead, and then we're going to have to hear about Burrow over Mahomes, and I just can't think about it. Please win. Yeah, those are my predictions for Conference Championship weekend. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I'm just crossing my fingers that I get one of these games correct. If I go 0 for 2, I mean, my life is over. I'm not going to be able to continue making predictions. This will be the worst year that I've had in a very long time. But yeah, guys, as always, I appreciate you watching. Be sure you're dropping all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure you're signing up for Thrive Fantasy down in the description. Use my code CAVE if you are interested, of course. Big thank you to them, and as always, if you guys enjoyed, please like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. If you want to hit the bell to be notified when I upload, I'd appreciate that. You want to go over to Twitter, follow me over there, I'd appreciate that as well. I have a TikTok down in the description that I think you should check out, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.
So many damn bills, now my brain hurt. I just bought a crib up in the hills. Got a beat, but it's like a mad black.